Can we speak? Playback.
Welcome to A Social Place from Amalite Studios and Emil Nava, which is me. I personally have been in the music video business crazily for over 15 years. I started when I was 17. I wanted to bring together people that are around me that I think are amazing and want to create a space where we can come on and talk about all things creative. Welcome to A Social Place. Today on The Social Place, we have Charm the Donna. I'm so excited to have this conversation because Charm is someone I think is truly amazing. Charm is a choreographer, creative director. We want to have this conversation with Charm to really see how Charm did it. How did she get into the industry? How did she move up through the ranks? Just a real open and honest conversation about how amazing Charm is. Charm the Donna in the building.
Yes.
Choreographer,
yes.
Creative,
yes.
Artist, generally amazing person.
Oh, thanks, Emil.
How would you sum yourself up?
I'm just like an aesthetic. You know.
Wow, what an amazing way to sum yourself up.
Yeah.
An aesthetic.
I'm just an aesthetic.
You do so many things, but ultimately you're just outputting in a different way, right? I've said that a few times, even just about like Amalite, like in terms of like when we all get together, we can plug into like a Coachella show or a music video or an Instagram post.
You could do one thing, but I just feel like we're all so like wanting to do more. And so you just naturally kind of feel into those other genres around your supposedly like genre you're supposed to do. Whereas I feel like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, if you were a director, you're just a director.
Oh, we talk about this all the time. Yeah. Your POV now is the thing really you're kind of like putting in all these places, right? You especially, I feel like I've seen you do the Super Bowl one day and then make a TikTok another. Like two complete, like on different stratospheres.
Sure.
But you're probably going into it with the exact same mindset and thought process. I kind of feel that like whatever I'm doing, my brain doesn't change in terms of what I'm trying to make, but just how I'm trying to get it out there.
Yeah, for sure.
Tell us the artists that you work with.
Oh, all the artists I work with?
Yeah, all the artists that you work with, because it's an impressive list.
Okay. I work with Kendrick, Lamar, Selena Gomez, Dua Lipa, Meghan Trainor, LMA,
Rosalia.
I've worked with Rosalia.
You basically work with the biggest artists in the world.
Oh, The Weeknd.
The Weeknd.
Lil Baby.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're a lot of things now, and we want to talk about that. You know, you're directing and just all of it. But I think if taking it back to like how it all started, you know, which ultimately, I guess, from what I know, was dance.
Yeah, dance
like,
for sure.
What first drew you into it?
When I was, I guess, 3, I told my mom that I wanted to like perform and I wanted to entertain and I want to dance. And she didn't know kind of what to do with that. So she just put me like in like a little recreational type of dance situation. And the teacher there was like, I think she should probably go to a proper dance school.
And this is like in Compton in the early...
Yeah,
in
this
like,
is early. This is
what?
Tell my age.
Yeah, I don't want to do it. But this was, you know...
It was years ago.
Yeah.
No, it was, 20 years ago plus some. I just kind of grew from that, and I started dancing every Saturday, and then it grew from every Saturday to every Friday, Saturday, and then grew from every Friday, Saturday to like Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. And just as I got older, I just got more and more invested into dance and then the arts. By 10, I could say I was like locked in. This is what I want to do.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think the reason we started this podcast was to kind of open up the conversation about how people get into the industry. And I guess one thing that's interesting about what I've seen from your journey is you seem like you went from dance to choreography fairly quick.
I've always choreographed, but I didn't know it was choreography back in when I was a kid. We all put steps together, right? And then I went to a performing arts high school.
Got you.
Which is what really triggered the training crazy, because it was like the fame pretty much of high schools, Los Angeles County High School for the Arts.
That's where you went, Los Angeles County High School, right?
Yeah, so we did like academics in the morning, and then after lunch was your art, so like from 1 to 4 p.m., which is your art, and you just trained every day.
Wow.
And then I would leave there and then go to take more dance classes. And then in there, we had choreography classes at my high school. And I would just dabble and play in there. And then I went on tour at 17. So I left my school, went homeschooling, finished.
And who was that with?
With Madonna.
And how did that happen?
I can remember like it was yesterday. I was in class. I was in history class, Mr. Friedman's class. A good friend of mine who's like a brother to me, he just kept calling my phone. So I'm thinking like something has happened. Yeah. Like what's going on? And so I just asked Mr. Friedman. I'm like, Mr. Friedman, my phone's going off. Like, this has to be important because I don't got that many minutes. So he's like, okay, go take it. And then it was him saying like, hey, do you want to like audition for Madonna? Da, 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 da. And I'm like, okay, sure.
And you're 17?
17.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, sure. But mind you, I've trained my whole like life. I thought I was going to go to like a Fordham or a U Arts, which is very like theater based, kind of like, you know, Alvin Ailey in the world. That's what I was kind of training for in a way. So he said, hey, come audition. I said, okay, cool. I auditioned before when I was like 10. I never was an audition kid, and most kids are.
It's like a different journey.
Yeah, who kind of like audition all the time. I was never that kid at all. I was training most of the time.
Yeah.
And so I went to the audition couple days and I ended up getting it, and then one day I'm in history class with Mr. Friedman, and the next day I'm in rehearsal kind of thing. Yeah.
It's such a good bit of advice that I say all the time, the more you can just make. For me, I was always just making music videos. I was like, if I just keep making a music video, I'm going to get one.
Yeah.
And I think what you're saying as well is that you were just training, right? You were just refining
because
your craft.
all of my friends at the time were like those kids in the Missy Elliott videos. Those kids, like a lot of my friends were like, I guess, industry kids. I wasn't. And I never had an agent.
And they were all going out to...
They were all going out. They were all getting the auditions, right? Because I was dancing at it's called Millennium. So I was going there. So I knew all the kids. Like I knew all the kids who were booking, and I wasn't that kid.
And why weren't you going to them?
I think my mom with work, she just...
Yeah, it's a full-time job, right?
Yeah,
you got
like trying to take it...
Especially in LA. They must be in the car 5 hours a day.
That's what I'm saying. Going to auditions,
yeah.
and my mom was working, and, you know, like I lived in Compton, and everything was very far. So I just trained, and I was like, Mom, why can't I do this? Why can't? She's like, don't worry about it. I did do one music video when I was 10, but that was just because the audition was at my dance school. Like they rented out, and so they were having the audition. So the owner was like, you should go audition. And I was like, okay. Like, and that's when I met Fatima the first time.
Fatima, for those that don't know, iconic choreographer,
director, everything, creative. She's amazing, and beyond. So that's when I first met her. So I met her at 10. I auditioned. She hired me, and then from then on, I was taking her master classes, and everything Fatima did, I was like, I gotta go, Mom. I gotta go. And then again at 14, I met her again. She had another audition because they were trying. I think they're redoing the Mickey Mouse Club or something, and they wanted like dancers who can rap, who could, you know, choreograph. And I was like, oh, that's me, like, you know? And I did that, and it never kind of worked out because it was my school and I was training. And my mom was like, girl, go, you're training. Like, you know what I mean? And then, 17 is when I kind of like went on the first
big tour.
The first big thing that kind of changed my life completely, for sure. New perspective. I mean, I've never pretty much left outside of like a couple times, like left California. Coming off tour, I got a taste of like, I want to choreograph. I want to be on stages. I want to be. LA is the spot. What do you mean? Like, why would I leave? And I went to UCLA. And while I was there, I was assisting Fatima. I was with her, assisting her and dancing and choreographing. So I always blended, to answer the question, to go back, as I was always blended those worlds, dance and choreography. So it was a natural evolution to going to simply choreography and seeing the picture versus being in the picture and helping to choreograph the picture.
I was going to ask, who is your biggest inspiration?
In my journey, when we were talking about inspiration with like aspiring to be someone who's like creative and choreography and film and everything, it's Fatima. Definitely, she was someone, even as a kid, we knew who Fatima was. Yeah.
I saw you did this amazing post the other day about this other young girl.
Aaliyah.
Yeah, that you've kind of formed a similar relationship with, right?
Yes, and her is so crazy because, again, how times have changed. How I met Fatima was through an audition, a random by chance audition, and how Aaliyah first reached out to me was through DM. She was 12 at the time. She DM'd me. I didn't see it originally, and I ended up casting for a Kendrick job, and they sent me a list of kids, and I just like went through, and I was like, okay, and I picked her, not even knowing that she had DM'd me.
Wow.
I get her in rehearsal, and she's amazing, such a sweet, beautiful like spirit. She's just remind me of me when I was a kid. And she's so like, she's into it, right?
Yeah, trying to find her way.
She's trying to find her,
yeah.
Like, you know, after her mom was like, hey, you know, she DM'd you on her own. Like, her mom's telling me, and I'm like, no, she didn't. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
I know she DM'd you. And I'm like, okay, so I go, like, I'm like, what's her thing? And I'm looking it up, and it's like, hi, Miss Charm. Like,
Miss Charm.
Yeah, you know, like, I'm 12-year-old dancer, and I would love to, like, work with you and, you know, learn. And I was like, that's crazy. That's kind of like how the universe and how she kind of, I say she manifested that thing that for herself.
Yeah.
And I tell her that all the time, like, you manifest these moments for yourself because you say it, you want it, you believe it, you go after it, you put yourself in that space to want it and to get it, so it's yours already. And so ever since then, she's kind of been like with me. She's at my auditions, and I did in the post. I was like, a lot of you guys are asking, who is this young girl running around, running my auditions, and it's me kind of showing her the ropes early on, right? I didn't get that opportunity though because I was still in school. I feel like the relationship with Fatima really developed when I was around 17. I couldn't at the time be very that invested. Leah has the opportunity that her mom takes her. Her mom brings her to me.
Well, I think times have changed so much now as well, right? It's not like, oh, you have to go to school and you have to. It's
like she has her home. She does everything she needs to do. So sometimes I schedule stuff around her so she can be involved. So she helps run my auditions, etiquette, understanding.
Wow.
Because I find sometimes when we get into a place of power, people naturally abuse it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And to run an audition with 300 dancers who are vulnerable, it's a sense of learning to be kind, learning to be patient.
I always find those rooms insane, those dance rooms where it's like you bring in 100 people, you cut them down, you're exiting people as you go.
And it's cutthroat. It's cutthroat, but I feel like there's still a way to be kind.
Yeah, no, totally.
So I keep her around to understand, so she sees how I handle my auditions, how I handle my rehearsals. I always tell people that I'm like, we're blessed and fortunate to be able to do what we love, to turn our passion into a career or a job. It's still a job.
Yeah, exactly.
You still got to get it done.
The pressure that you're gonna have to deliver on this moment, that if you don't deliver, like the whole thing
it's a lot. Like, I think this is why sometimes I understand everyone has an opinion and people want about art, but I'm like, if y'all only knew the shit that goes on to make this,
and the
compromises we have to make, like, you know what I'm saying, like all the people in the room that need to be happy or all cohesive, whatever. It's just so many things that happen. It's not just about this 2-minute video you just saw. When it all goes right, I'm like,
I always say it's like you've got this tornado that you're trying to just like manage into,
or like even in the middle, like every time me stepping into this directing position and being a director, really, I need to say that Emil was the first person that worked with me in a sense. When I said I want to be a director, Emil was like, well, I'll fucking co-direct with you, because I was fucking nervous. And mind you, that video has about over 120 million views at this point.
Smashed it. Well
smashed.
Done. You were choreographing, yes, but you were directing. You were like when we did jobs when you were choreographing, I was directing. There was moments when I knew that you just had it. And, and I always think that you would film something on your phone in the rehearsal, and then the cameraman would film it on the set, and I'd be like, it doesn't. And I'd just be like, you should film it like Charm filmed it, because she knows where to put the camera. And
For me to even be in the role of choreographer, and then be in the role of director sometimes. And then sometimes I'm on set, right? And I'm just a creative. Like, it just be able to be like a piece of a puzzle.
Yeah.
And I feel like I always say whatever is needed in that puzzle, I'm that piece. I conform so I can help complete the puzzle. And I think having that type of mentality has allowed me to move across the board.
Do you think that you have a style?
I think my style with choreography is to kind of bring out what's best for each world. And what I mean when I say world is each artist, which is why none of these artists look alike. It's because I come in and I kind of like bring them into the surrounding choreography, into the dancers. Everything is an aesthetic based off of them. With the list I just named, I think you can probably pull up videos or shows that I've choreographed, and you would say the style is that they're definitely true to who they are.
And I think that ultimately is why you're so successful. Because I think this a lot with like music videos, right? Like I grew up with a lot of director friends who would be like, my video, my this, they're ruining my video. And I was like, this isn't your video, this is their video, this is them. Yeah. So like for people like us, I think as creators, like for us to be able to bring that to life is so special.
And again, everyone's style is different. Like, I feel like I can never just walk into a room and choreograph for someone without meeting them. Yeah. Without kind of like knowing about them, knowing what they want, knowing who they are, where they like I have to dive into like that world and at least understand the music. What are you trying to say? Like, what is your natural movement? Because that is what pulls and what makes, I feel like, every artist themselves.
I think that for artists, what I believe is that they're always trying to figure out how to create, their world, right? And it's about finding those people that understand them and are able to deliver that, right? Because it's tough to find synergy with people creatively, you know. I feel like this even with like someone who's helping me build a treatment, right? I could say like a waterfall, and there's a million images of a waterfall, but
for sure.
can that person know what the waterfall in my head looks like? You know? And when you work with an artist, you know, Little Baby may reference a house. What does a house look like in his world or in your world, and not in like some random?
Yeah,
you know, so
but I think, like I'm saying, it's really knowing your artist you're working with, you know, and knowing what that journey is for them, or what that era, we call it. What era are you in for that artist, right? Like what era they're in, and how do we push that with choreography, with visuals, with whatever. I think that's why.
And what would you say your kind of like biggest dream is in terms of like creating?
Would be to honestly have like a film that I've like directed, wrote on, and choreographed,
which we've discussed now,
right? I'm like,
we have,
like, you know, but I know I have
to
to do the steps to get there, and I know that takes time, and I know that's the end goal, and so it's me positioning myself to get to that. It's asking the questions, it's learning. It's like now as a choreographer on set, which I've never have done, but even more so now, I'm paying attention to almost all of like the cameras. I'm paying attention to what that director's doing. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm using every opportunity, experience I have to grow and learn. Right? If that makes sense. Like I have a different eye now.
Yeah, for sure. You're looking at different things around you. Yeah,
I'm looking at different things. You know, I'm always learning. Say if I'm choreographing a stage show and I'm looking at those lighting decisions, or I'm looking at who built the art design and why did they make that decision, or how much is that versus that? Because now I'm building sets on music videos, and now I understand dimensions. And I'm like, oh, I'm telling the art director I need this, and she's like, oh, this is helping me because you know that if you're building a set that like you want to shoot a top shot, and that you know there can't be a roof. Like, so all those things help, and I'm learning as I go, and I'm able to like continue to create and develop. But I think 2023 is going to be like my
big year.
My year.
Big year.
Another big year.
Yeah. You know, we talk about kind of mental health a lot and like wellness a lot, you know, and I think that like, you know, you're incredibly busy, right? You're on back-to-back tours. You've got multiple tours happening, and not small ones. They're all massive artists, lots of pressure. Like, are there any things that you do to create a good, you know, mental health, good wellness in the middle of all of that?
So I'm going to be very transparent. A lot of people probably, even if my friends look at this, they see this, they're going to be like, what? This year was very hard for me mentally. I think I worked on like 6 tours and was still within
6 massive tours as well, right?
And then,
like probably the biggest tours in the world at the same time.
Yes. Yeah. And wow. When you say it like that, I'm like, oh.
Well, so you were doing Kendrick, Dua, Little Baby,
The Weeknd.
Yeah. All happening at the same time.
Kind of like the same month span.
And trying to at the same time maneuver into directing.
And trying to at the same time put out my own music.
Yeah.
Like it was a lot. It was a lot going on, and I really thank God.
And just be a person.
And be a human. And I thank God that I have like artists who support me, because all of those artists support me beyond just being a choreographer. You know what I'm saying? And they allowed me to kind of maneuver and push, so I could do as much as I could. But physically, health-wise, I was going through a lot because I was dealing with my own internal traumas of things before that started to kind of pop up on me.
Yeah, as you get older, you just start
all of a sudden, you know how you get older, and it's just like all of a sudden you're sitting down, and you're like triggered by something you didn't even realize that you thought you tucked away.
Yeah.
And I got like sick a little bit. Doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong with me, and it was because it was mental. It was mental. You know, I was kind of like draining and killing myself, and it had nothing to do with the work. It had nothing to do with the artist. It had nothing to do with what I was doing. I think that actually kept me up.
Yeah.
You know, being able to work and move and do what I love, but definitely inside I was struggling.
I think there's a thing with stress as well where it so cannot even be like, because you say that you didn't feel that, but there's an element of like, how could you not have felt the stress of that, right? And I remember there was a point when I was probably the busiest in my career, and I was getting this thing in my stomach where it was like I just had this like not pain but like this feeling here, and the doctors didn't know what, they just couldn't. There was like there's nothing there, and I would be in bed like at night sometimes like in so much pain, and they were just like, it's stress, like, or it's just you know, it's all mental.
The world, and then on top of that, guys, as much as we say, oh, I don't give a fuck about what no one says, every time I put art out, I kind of like step back because like the world is about to judge my shit,
and people can judge it in the way that you you didn't expect. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's all those things that you just naturally as humans think about. I think it just kind of like wore me down. And my body was like, I wouldn't stop unless my body stopped, right? I will say I've now learned to get better at this is to take time for myself. Because I'm a go. My whole mental is like, I grew up in a poor environment, lower class, right? Like, and so I was like, I'm never gonna be that. I'm gonna be able to take care of my mom. I'm gonna be able to take care of myself. So I have this hustle mentality since I was a kid. Like, even me going to dance class and hustling, like, it's just, that's my mentality. So I go. I'm self-employed. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
I don't know if I'm gonna get paid on the 15th or the 1st or
and the reality that you make a few wrong decisions, you could be gone.
Exactly.
So that fear is real.
So it was so much. Outside of that, was so much happening last year. One of my best years with my art, though. I was secretly having things going wrong with myself internally, and I had a whole conversation with my team and everybody. It's just about like setting my goals, understanding boundaries for myself, knowing it's okay to say no.
Yeah.
Right?
It's hard to say no.
It's hard to say no. It's so hard to say no. And taking that time and knowing that it's okay to take that time. Why I say 2023 is going to be a great year. It's not about the work. It's not about me accomplishing some goal, or it's literally about me and myself. And I know it's going to be a great year because I'm gonna set boundaries, still following everything I want to do, and I'm going to say no.
The reason I want to work so hard and do all these things is to provide for like my family, my friends, all these things. But actually, if we're not healthy and we're not here, then it doesn't fucking matter.
It doesn't matter at all.
That's the worst situation.
That doesn't matter.
That we're fried or we're done or So we constantly tell ourselves, like, work hard so I can provide for these people, like, do this for these people. But actually, these people that we care about just need us to be, like, healthy and sane and all these things.
And it's crazy because a friend of mine just told me again this year when I was having, like, you know, my back and forth with myself. And I was just like, she's like, why do you feel like you have to just guess? Like, because I have to be successful. I have to. And she's like, have you looked in the mirror? You see where you come from? You see where you are now? You are success.
Yeah.
But to go back onto the mental health and what I do for myself, it is the meditation. It is the eating right. It is the taking care of myself. I don't care if it's a fucking nail day.
I watch a lot of things about these like really big business people and how they operate these like massive businesses. And a lot of them always are talking about like the morning and how they have to have the morning to themselves. They can't like open up their email. They want to read the newspaper. They want to have breakfast because when it goes, it like goes.
And I realized that as well too.
Yeah. Can you name a moment when you were like, wow, I've fucking made it?
I've had a couple moments. One moment was when I got to choreograph for Britney Spears.
Yeah. Crazy.
I was in the room with her. And what's crazy is that I'm never the type of person that's like starstruck.
Yeah.
I've never ever, but I remember she walked in the room and I was kind of like, gasp. Because this was the woman who did the back walkover in the video. And as a dancer, we're talking about as a dancer, she was killing for me. And I got to work with her and on her residency she did in Vegas. Well, for however many shows sold or whatever, I got a plaque. And when I got that plaque, I remember I just started crying. I used to dance to her music in the mirror, and I wanted to go to her tour. My mom couldn't really get the tickets because we couldn't afford it. And now I'm choreographing. When I did the 2018 Grammys with Kendrick, I performed as well on that one, and I choreographed that one. After that, I guess my mom or whoever had heard, they were talking about me on the radio. They were and I was getting emails from everybody, and I was like, what do you mean? What I do? What's up? They're like, no, that was the hardest shit ever. It was amazing. Oh my God, the choreography was amazing. And I was like, okay, that's a moment. That was a moment where I was like, okay, I'm stepping into myself for real. For real. And Super Bowl, of course.
I mean, the Super Bowl must have been out of control, right?
Yeah, it was cool.
How long did that take to do?
The crazy story about that Super Bowl. We technically got in on a Tuesday and Super Bowl was Sunday.
Yeah.
So we had to put it up because I was during the COVID time. So we didn't have much rehearsal. We didn't have much time. That was like a normal Super Bowl. I feel like a normal Super Bowl, 3 weeks, months. We had a lot of the pre-work, but the actual get in the physical space, we got, I think it was like a Tuesday or something. And then Super Bowl was Sunday. So it wasn't a lot of time. It was just about just going and trusting the process. It was a lot of that. It was a lot of how the fuck is this shit gonna turn out? But it did, and...
Well, that's probably what made it so special, right? Is that when you have those limitations, you get pushed so hard,
For sure.
And you ultimately kind of make your best work.
Yeah. I think that was the first... my first job where I actually like cried.
Yeah, I bet.
I cried because I was like, again, we only had a certain amount of time to do certain things. It was COVID. Like, it was very strict.
Yeah.
They followed every protocol.
Sure.
And I wanted more time on stage.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get it. And I cried.
Really?
I was like, how am I?
Yeah. No, I
We
bet.
were changing things in real time. I was just like, because you want it so bad. You know it can be.
And you know that you
like,
if
you know.
you had everything, what it would be.
I'm like, why me?
I just feel like you never get everything though, do you?
Yeah.
It's just one compromise after another.
Yeah, but it turned out, beyond.
You know, I asked this question to all the guests, like as a kind of final question. I guess for any young people watching or people watching who are like, wow, I want to do that. Like, because I think that what we do can feel a little, to us, we obviously do it, right? So we're in it. But it's also been a massive journey for all of us, right?
For sure.
Of struggle, of pain.
For sure.
Of big moment, like,
Of sacrifice.
100%.
Dedication.
Exactly.
My entire life, I say that my entire life has been dedicated to what I do.
Yeah. One piece of advice that you could give to people watching or listening of like how to do it, like what would it be?
I'm not even trying to be funny, but just do it. You kind of got to remove fear.
Yeah.
You got to remove the want to feel or be accepted. And you kind of just got to follow like your gut. I always say that you follow your first mind, your first gut, that first feeling, because that's your spirit.
Yeah.
That's your spirit saying, do. We don't really say, I should have followed my second mind. We say, I should have followed my first mind.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's your spirit, that's your godly, that's telling you what to do. I say you follow that. And we often let society and things on the outside influence what we're supposed to do, which is fine along your journey. But you have to remember your journey and get back on your path. It's okay to get knocked off left and right, but you got to, as my granny said, keep your eyes on the prize.
Yeah.
And keep going for whatever that is. And understand that it does take time. This is not an overnight. Me sitting here and having this podcast is not something I did because I did something yesterday or even last year or the year before that. This is something that I've been pushing and dedicated to for a very long time, for years. Yeah. And so now I'm here now. So I would say, like, keep going. Keep going, because the little girl who was sad that she couldn't understand why all her friends was booking jobs and I wasn't, my mom would just say, keep going. And when it's your time, it's your time. Only person that could take something from you is you. Yeah. And the people you give permission to around you. You know what I mean? And example, like me being a choreographer and then, or being a dancer, going into choreography, then going to directing, then going to creative directing. I don't care how many people tell me no, or you can't, or you're not at that level. I don't give a fuck. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I keep going, but do the work. Do the work, and that's what I'm trying to teach and show younger generation. Do the work, right? Sometimes we're in this quick. It happens quick. It may happen quick for this person, but it's maybe not your journey.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I'm saying? And that's okay. So, I think that's like, did I say it? I'm like, because I'll keep talking. I'm like, and
that was great, ladies and gentlemen. Charm the Donna. Charm the Donna. Well, that was an amazing conversation. I hope you enjoyed it. I would love to inspire one of you to take it upon yourself to DM or email someone that inspires you. From having these conversations, I have really realized, and from my own experience, that you just have to kind of throw yourself out there and you have to just put yourself out there and ask the question, see if someone needs help, see if you can assist someone. Can you take someone's photo? There's so many ways to get into the industry, and I think that people really do check their DMs. I've connected with some really, really major artists through Instagram or social media, and you can do the same. I would love you to put yourself out there this week and really try and connect with someone that inspires you. Just like Aaliyah did with Charm, you can do the same. Find someone that you really look up to, DM, email, or message them somewhere and see if you get a reply. And if you don't, keep trying, because that also works. And DM me at A Social Place Instagram and tell me how it went. It's a social place, so yeah, it's a social place.